told her.
No, we're good to go.
Be right there on the news channel, Brian. That's exactly what's wrong with this thing.
What?
Worry about damn pranks. There's 32 kids starving in eastern Kentucky.
Oh, crap. I want a new one. I don't like that card with me in the bag. I realize that when you said that.
That's the only one I have.
Yeah, well, let's put a note that I want that changed immediately.
Okay.
I got the long hair and everything. I don't like that. I don't like that card. That, oh, I mean, so mad. Now I'm like,
Do you want your picture in the new one?
yeah. But now I'm going to start to show off this off. And I was trying not
Oh
to.
my God.
I
That's the card that we use.
You get a haircut. now
Well,
get
you
a
need
long
to-
hair look.
You need to tell me these things during the week and I can make
Yeah, I don't
graphics.
realize. I mean, somebody needs to just step it up and say,
Well,
Yeah.
hellfire.
yeah, hellfire is right. Actually, in the morning, how much do you do as much as I do, but I give it hell of a huh? Keep coming back. I need the Playboy Bunnies, former Playboy Bunnies name that did an interview with Anderson Cooper.
Okay. Karen McDougall.
Yeah, I told you that. You don't listen. Nah, I don't think so. I said Google, McDougall, or something.
Karen McDougall.
What's the weather supposed to be like this weekend, JR? Oh, Fanning got their ass smacked last night with Greater Atlanta Christian.
Well, you knew that was going to happen.
That was 7-5.
In all honesty, who cares if he had a haircut?
Why is it all honesty? Why are you a little bit honest sometimes? Just partially, 75%?
You know how I feel about Trump, but who cares?
Who cares about what?
That he had affairs a long time ago. Who cares if he did?
No, you know what it is? You know, Trump lived in a world that people don't want to admit to. And that's okay. See, I used to be in sales, okay? And I always have. And my customers like to do things. Okay? They did. All right? My customers like to do things. And they like to go places. And I wouldn't go. I wouldn't do it. But a lot of people in my field, that's how they did sales. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's how they made deals. Okay?
That singles around.
I'm just saying. And I'll never forget when we went to a meeting in Chicago one time. I mean, we had distributors and I hate to say the word decent guys, but we had the business owners from all over the United States at this training in Chicago. And you have your regional sales reps. I'm not going to mention the company and anything, but you have your regional sales reps, right? And dude, they all get together. You know, we went to Harry Carey's for dinner in Chicago. We went to ESPN Zone. We went to the House of Blues. I mean, we went out all night. And then, like, the last stop was the Bada Bing. Bada Bing, Bada Boom. I don't know if you never watched Sopranos, did you?
No.
All right, well, you wouldn't. Huh? You understand? That's right. So, I mean,
Watch this Sopranos.
okay. You know what I need? I need the name of the Dr. Whaley's. It's the Georgia Cancer Specialist. Who is it again?
Georgia Cancer Specialist affiliated with Northside Hospital.
Hey, what are we supposed to call, I guess, girls? If you're not allowed to say woman or women no more?
NEARS.
Wait a minute.
And it's not, you're not supposed to,
Affiliated?
affiliated with Northside Hospital. And you can't, you don't project it as women. You project it as NEARS, as in persons or people.
Where'd you get that at?
Kennesaw State.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, like I told you, they were working on that in 2008 when I went there. Yeah, this isn't new stuff. Like, they've just amplified it since all this bullshit's going on.
It's the Wiccans, Frank.
The Wiccans.
Gotta whoop your kids or getting.
Oh, the Whippins. I thought you said the Wiccans. That's witches.
Not Wiccans.
Is that alcohol? Oh, I thought that was alcohol. I was like, oh, we're going there today? Throwing up a bottle. Get your yeehaw on.
Good morning. It's your host. Get on down. We gotta find him a cowboy.
You got 2 minutes.
Got 2 minutes.
I'm going to have to tell Dr. Whaley just to explain his chart, because some of these charts he's sending me, we can't throw them up on the screen. Like, I have to throw pictures on the screen.
Oh, your sound's off.
You've never watched Entourage, have you?
2 episodes.
Dude, I'm on season 5. Those are my boys. Johnny Drama is like one of the greatest characters that's ever created.
Have you seen the movie?
Entourage? No.
Yeah.
You ready? We got to go live.
Go live? I
Yep.
can be talking to JR when we go live. You don't have to be. Go ahead. Go live. We'll be live.
Yeah, we'll be live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go ahead. Go live. I mean, it's 8 o'clock. That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, I can talk to JR and we go live, right, JR?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were live like.
Hey, JR, what do you think? What do you think I look like, man? I mean, you got these 2 tablets. You want me to sell them?
So,
There you go, folks. I got to sell these. Not like I only have to do a show, get ready, get up here. It's a beautiful morning in Blue Ridge. I have to sell tablets too.
you're gonna go on some deliveries today after the show.
Do I have to go on deliveries too? That's why I'm wearing the denim jacket. But no, really, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from Circuit World. Let me put my glasses on, make sure that's what it still says all the way across the room. Circuit World, Blue Ridge, downtown, beautiful Blue Ridge. A little cool this morning. It's been, we've had some cool mornings here. It is spring. Watched a winter-type baseball game up here last night. Greater Atlanta Christian came up and played the Phantom Rebels. Did not work out very well. But I went home with a cold nose. What does that mean? I'm healthy? Is that right? That reminds me of the pet of the week, right, JR? JR, where are you at?
You're not a dog.
Well, I thought if you had a cold nose, that's what you're supposed to check your pooch's nose to see if it's
That
cold.
does not pertain to people.
Doesn't pertain to people.
No.
Anyhow, went home with a cold nose last night. But I'm up and ready this morning. That reminds me, let me give you the rundown of the show. This is how it works here. We will not be having any interviews in the 2 hours with any porn stars that claims to have had any kind of relation with the President of the United States. We will not do that on this show. But let me tell you what we will be doing. At 8:15, we'll have Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. He'll be in here in a minute. Ask the Doc. And then at 8:45, the All-Star Political Panel. Boy, do I have a lot. We got a lot to talk about at 8:45. We talk about the week. We can't even go through everything that happens in the week of news, but we make every attempt. So that's Rick, Bruce, and Jane will be here at 8:45. And then at 9:45, we wrap up the show. We wrap up the week with the pet of the week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. Okay, where to start? Okay, I am going to say this. I want to get started with this. I am so opposed to this spending bill. I am so opposed. But I want to say this before we get too far in the show. My favorite senator, all right, David Perdue of Georgia. My favorite senator. I'm telling you what. Let me tell you why. Okay. Let me tell you why. Senator Perdue, when he ran against a large field of Republicans, several establishment Republicans, as an outsider that has never held political office, you know, I met him. I think I'm going to get to say I got the opportunity to interview the senator, about 3 times. He stopped and visited our office in LJ, Fetcher News staff. I went to several rallies, one he had up in Union County at Barbecue one time, and I listened to his promises, all right? And then candidate Perdue said the greatest threat to our national security is the debt. The greatest threat to our national security is the debt. And yes, I listened to candidate Perdue say that. So when he was elected and he became Senator Perdue of Georgia, I watched his voting record. I watched how he made decisions. I watched how he embraced the President of the United States, how he has supported the President of the United States, how he has co-sponsored the RAISE Act, which is a very rational and sometimes it's hard to use that word and speak of Congress, but it's a very rational way to come to some solution on chain migration and stop it. And I really have zeroed in on Senator David Perdue since he's taken his oath to be the senator of Georgia. Yesterday, no, not yesterday, at 12:43 a.m., I think is when the Senate voted. At 12:43 a.m., Senator David Perdue voted no. He voted no on HR. He voted no on HR 1625. The Consolidated Appropriations Act. I have to take a deep breath. I have to take serenity now, serenity now. An omnibus spending bill. Now, he voted no. How did your congressman vote? I'm going to make a prediction right now, and I'm going to make this prediction. I could be wrong. This is the first time for everything, JR, so listen up.
Okay.
But I'm going to make this prediction that, you know, at the beginning of the year, okay, at the beginning of the year, the Congress continually passed spending resolutions, continuing spending resolutions, kicking that can down the road, which we hear. And they got another 30 days. Then the government was going to shut down midnight another 30 days. Then the government was going to shut down at midnight, and they gave us another 30 days. They gave us another 30 days until what? Until qualifying to run for office is here and gone, and most of the state primaries. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Because if, and I'm going to tell you this is the nice me. And Amanda, pay attention because you say you've never met that part. Okay? This is the nice me. If HR 1625, Consolidated Appropriations Act, would have been passed 2 months ago instead of kicking the can down the road, all right, I would say in a lot of the states, you would have some really strong conservatives step up and primary your congressman, your sitting congressman. But you know what? Qualifying came and went. There's no really reason to, you know, in most of your areas, if they're Republicans, no real reason maybe to primary the congressman. Maybe the congressman is doing a good job in your eyes at that time until now. That's my opinion, that there would be a lot of congressmen that would have primary challengers today if this vote would have been 2 months ago or 3 months ago on this spending bill. I will tell you this, is my opinion that bipartisan may be what completely bankrupts this country. I know you want to have bipartisan. You love hearing that, some of you out there. The media loves to come and say, this has to be good. It's a bipartisan bill. It's where they've come together. Folks, $1.3 trillion in spending. Bipartisan may be what finishes us off in this country. Because there's no day that Nancy Pelosi is happy. There's no day that Chuck Schumer is happy, that we are happy that a bill was passed that would be fiscally sound and turning us around and trying to reduce our debt and acknowledge where we stand financially in this country. It's not possible. It can't go together. All right? Can't happen. Now, I didn't mean to get sidetracked on that, but yes, how did your congressman vote? You know, I'll tell you what, the Senate voted 65-32. All right? Senate voted 65-32. A lot of Democrats voted for this. A lot of Republicans voted against it. What's wrong with that? 65-32, the Senate did at 12:43 on $1.3 trillion. How about the House? The House voted 145 Republicans for it, 111 Democrats for it. Now, wait a minute. Now, what did they put out in the spending bill that 111 Democrats liked? Something's bad wrong. 2,300 pages? The list goes on and on, okay? Only 90 Republicans voted no, 77 Democrats voted no in the House. I'm just here to tell you this morning, something dead wrong with this spending bill. I'm going to look at the camera and say, thank you, Senator David Perdue, for voting no on this spending bill. Because when you campaigned and you told me personally, you looked at me and said, hey, our greatest threat to our national security is our debt. I know today you're serious. I've known for a long time. Now, we got Dr. Whaley coming in. H.R. McMaster's is out. Now, how do you get a porn star and a former Playboy bunny off the front page? That is what the media would lead you to believe, is that's the reason H.R. McMaster is out and John Bolton is in as National Security Advisor. I think you and I know why H.R. McMaster is finally out. Just yesterday on the show, we put up a picture of H.R. McMaster. Remember the big bold print that said, do not congratulate Putin from H.R. McMaster's office, right? For the phone call to Putin. Remember right after that, that was leaked out to the media. McMaster's out, Bolton in, Trump, stock market's down 700 points. Folks, on trade, I want to look at you, tell you something, on trade, you're going to have the guts to stick it out, okay? Because the trade deficit is very serious. And the president is trying to do something about it. And I'm not sitting here saying this morning that I am the greatest advocate of tariffs and believe very strongly in tariffs. And as you're reading reports that China is retaliating and other countries are retaliating, that in a way is a good sign, because that means we're doing something, our president of the United States, to agitate them, to make them realize he's not going to play any games anymore when it comes to our trade imbalance. Now, it's time to go to Dr. Whaley. But before we do, now what is the Playboy, the former Playboy bunny's name? What's her name again?
It's Karen McDougal.
Now here's my question before we go to break, okay? She did an interview on CNN, an exclusive interview on CNN with Anderson Cooper, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Stormy Daniels is doing a 60-minute piece Sunday night with who? Anderson Cooper?
Yes, again.
What's up with Anderson Cooper? They feel he's safe? I don't understand that. Why Anderson Cooper?
Who knows?
Who knows, right? I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. JR said he needs me to sell these tablets, and I can't leave till they're sold. So check out these tablets. I don't know the deal. Maybe you tell me the deal. I'll sell the tablet. Maybe I use one of the tablets. We'll be back right after these messages. It's time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Witt.
All right, you're clear.
No, why they got the porn star?
Well, I'm gonna help him with the tablet sales here.
Why they got the porn star and the Playboy bunny doing the interviews with the gay guys?
I've already got to plug something,
Right? Why?
because there's no chance of him sexually harassing him. I think he's gay.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is gay.
He actually didn't come out until that long ago. It's been like a couple of years.
This, I don't think I've ever given you 1,000. That's an aged 1,000 that I just found when I was getting down to the bottom of my damn humidor the other day, trying to find something else. And that is a really good cigar. All right.
Health benefits, what?
We're gonna go next time.
You wanna bypass it?
No, we're gonna make it, we did it once before.
So, turmeric.
I rubbed turmeric on my face.
What?
I rubbed turmeric on my face.
Well, that's interesting, because I will mention that. We did the thing with that once before, remember?
Yeah, I love turmeric.
You do?
Yes.
But you use it to cook?
No.
So you don't eat it?
No, I don't eat it. Like I have put it in like curry and stuff, but
How's my voice?
it's good.
You sure?
Yep.
It's gotta be good.
How is my voice, JR?
Got a radio voice.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Pretty good at it with your thumb. Sounds like an adolescent for an old man. I mean, he does it all day.
Since he brought it
He's got
up.
a high number of hours of practice, but he looks like one of the girls in my office, you know, who's in their 20s doing this thing.
Yeah,
He used to have a haircut.
that's how he acts too.
My big old finger. My big old finger's been a mess on it.
Mind if I tell you a little Putin Hillary joke?
I think I saw that. It's it. Yeah. That was really, that was a little joke. That was almost like some local election. What happened?
But what are we gonna do about it? I mean, that's,
Right.
right, we,
The Russians do what the Russians do.
okay, so you said you had an election, you won, congratulations, well, what? We gotta meet now and start talking about.
Mussolini did.
All right, guys, we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, and we're back. I'm your host, BKB, and we're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, beautiful downtown Blue Ridge, a nice Friday morning. A little cool this morning. Welcome, Dr. Whaley. Okay, let's just jump right in. Your tie. You always, yes. So let's start with your tie this morning.
I wondered if he was gonna get that. You're gonna turn my jacket around for him and let him take a quick look at the jacket. That's my Stormy Jackson. That's my Stormy
Randy
Daniels
Travis.
jacket. It's a showbiz jacket, okay?
All right.
It's a Randy Travis tour jacket, but it's showbiz. So this is my John Bolton tie.
John Bolton.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll notice it's got all the flags on it.
Okay.
And John Bolton, I have been a great fan of. And there are other people who have detracted from John Bolton over the last decade. But I believe that John Bolton is a straight shooter. I watched him, I listened to him, you know, he helped the Bush legal thing down in Florida in the year 2000 when they were counting votes and all that stuff. I just think the guy's got great experience. I think he's a real straight shooter. I think he'll deal with every country on that flag and all the rest of the countries in the world in a straightforward, business-like manner, but he won't take any guts. I was getting ready to say
Well,
something.
you know, he got a recess appointment and never could get confirmed by Congress. But he got a recess appointment to the UN by Bush, and then he couldn't get confirmed. So, but yes, Bolton is in, McMaster's is out. So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I am. I think it's a better job for a guy like Bolton than it is for a general anyway. Honestly, do. I mean, I think Bolton is a level-headed, very analytic guy. I don't know anything about his management style. Of course, either do you, nobody would know about his management style. I don't think he's going to be authoritarian, dictatorial, kind of high-handed, I believe, like I've read in McMaster was. How do we know? You know, we know what we read. And I haven't got anybody that was working. I don't know anybody new and was working in there. I know people, you know, over in CIA and a few of those places, but I don't know anybody that worked with them.
Well, it's time for Ask the Doctor with Dr. William Whaley, and we appreciate the Georgia Cancer Specialist affiliated with Northside Hospital that brings this segment to you. I mean, that's like a screeching halt and going in another direction, but I always have to be concerned with not how far off we will get away from medical questions.
Yeah, okay.
Because, well, I'm not blaming you. Because you're talking about Bolton and McMaster. You open up with that, and I have a thought, but I better save it for the
No, I would have thought. Go ahead.
Well, the only thing is H.R. McMaster. I read the book Dereliction of Duty that he wrote about him. All right, I've read that book that H.R. McMaster wrote. My concern with him being a general is and this can't be the only reason that he's been replaced, but it's the National Security Advisor Department that generates all the information. So when the President of the United States gets on the phone with a world leader, they have all the top things in front of them. Don't say this because this just happened yesterday in the country. It could be bad. This is where you're at on this and this and this. At the top, supposedly, of that they said, do not, in bold letters, congratulate Vladimir Putin. Okay? President Trump called, congratulate. He's the final say.
By the way,
But-
you've never seen it.
Yes, but what happened the very next day is that document made it to the press. That's troubling to me. That is troubling to me. And so with H.R. McMaster, that's your department. That's what you're supposed to do. And that made it to the press. That's troubling to me.
I don't think Trump ever saw it. His briefing about that day was by telephone, and the book, he and the book were in geographical separate locations. But you're right, the leak was out there within 12 to 24 hours.
I'm not for sure. We're going to move on, but I'm
whole
not
lot
for
to do
sure.
with vaccinations before travel.
Well, I got one more thing. I told you, but I have one more thing. I'm not for sure. You can Google it and look it up, but I am, when I say positive, Winston Churchill called Stalin and I think said happy birthday. All right. And
Okay,
so,
and I'll say,
so
yeah, well, you brought this up while we were off the air. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton fixed the election for Putin?
no.
You think he won on his own?
He won an election. End of story.
All right.
He won an election. You know what's funny is they keep, oh, wait a minute. All right. Now, see, you did this. We have to
How
talk.
about we pay back for your uranium?
No, let me say this.
You give me $500 million and I'll help you get elected.
I have watched the video on the news of how many times some guy in Russia stuffed the ballot in that box. Did you see that? When there's a video and they're calling it a sham election, which, okay, it's a sham election. And somehow we knew Putin would win. And
Russia and South America.
his opponent would either lose or die, whichever comes first, by poison. We know who he is. We know what's going on. Former KGB, always will be. But the video of that guy continuing to stuff ballots in the bombs. Have you looked at Chicago and how many people that should be in the cemetery are voting? You know what I mean?
Well, they do that in Atlanta.
Right. So, anyhow, moving
I
right
have a great
along.
story about Atlanta. Yeah, go ahead.
We got to move along here on this. Okay. Are there certain vaccinations you should get before traveling abroad? If so, what are they?
You're going to laugh when I tell you that this is probably one of the more complicated questions that we've ever gotten. And I think to do honest by it, put that chart up if you would, please, Amanda. The answer to the question is, where are you going? What is your background? What are you going to be doing there? And how long are you going to stay? So if any of us are going to be going to Paris or London or Madrid or somewhere, the answer is no. You don't need to have any vaccinations. I'm making the assumption that you've done what we told you to do all along, like it's a flu shot. Because when you travel, particularly any place that you could consider even close to third world, and I might throw Greece in there, and I might throw, some rural areas in Portugal and Spain in there. All Americans should have been immunized against hepatitis A and hepatitis B. And those are the epidemic liver things that you'll get from salads and so forth when you're traveling in places that aren't quite as clean as Blue Ridge, Georgia, or Atlanta. But that big old chart there has about 15 or 18 things. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way back. Cholera, yellow fever, typhoid, rabies, meningitis, japanese encephalitis, and then hepatitis and influenza. So, anybody who's been in the military has been immunized against everything on that list. But the only places that you have to really worry about being immunized are if you're going to be in third world countries where you're going to be in the poor sanitation conditions, and that is unlikely. There are in every community what we call travel clinics. And most of the big hospitals in Atlanta have travel clinics, and Coca-Cola and UPS and all that send their executives there before they go and post them. But you've got executives from Coca-Cola and UPS living in Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam and so forth. And yes, they have to be immunized against stuff that they might get there. But you don't get that from your family doc. You don't even get that at the Fannin County Public Health Department. If you are going to be traveling someplace that I would call off the beaten path, you need to go to a travel clinic. The biggest thing that this question really asks is, what do I need to do when I'm going to be traveling overseas? And I think the biggest issue that people think about is travelers-associated diarrhea. Amanda, what's the buzzword for travelers-associated diarrhea? Montezuma's what? Montezuma's revenge. So people, when they are talking about how do I get prepared to travel and do I need immunizations, the very next question out of their mouth is, can you give me some antibiotics to take so I don't get diarrhea while I'm in Egypt? Egypt, yes. I'll be going to Morocco next week. So I've got in Morocco next week. I've got to take all the precautions I'm getting ready to tell you about traveler's diarrhea. Not to take any extra shots. But traveler's diarrhea is extremely severe, can be fatal, and it's one of those common sense ways of avoiding things. For example, when you're in Acapulco, Mexico, or you're in Cancun, Mexico, and you're on the beach, there's a guy there chopping up mango and stuff and selling it in a paper cup, and you see all the Mexicans buy it, eat it, and you say, man, that looks good, it's fresh fruit, and I just cut it up. That's an absolute no-no. So the prevention things are. Most of this stuff is waterborne, and water's on the outside of everything. So all your water has to be bottled, even in Mexico. So you get legitimate bottled water. You take the lid off of it. You don't put it in a glass because the glass may have been washed with no clean water. You don't put ice in it because the ice can be made of bottled water, but be made in a machine that's cleaned with regular water. You drink it out of a straw instead of out of the top, because the straw is big. You don't know how much stuff got underneath the edge of the bottom of it. You don't eat any fruit that you do not peel yourself just before eating. So if there's a banana there that somebody has chopped up, you don't eat it. But if you get a banana with a peel on it and peel it yourself, you can eat it. You don't eat any food that is not steaming hot. So you're not going to be eating salads or anything like that unless you made it yourself, or you know that it was made with purified disinfectant water, which I'll mention in just a minute, or was made in the intercontinental, can't be, as it says in this long list, price is no guarantee, and fancy is no guarantee. So you could be in an intercontinental hotel that costs $800 a night, and the food is expensive, but that is not a guarantee that the guys in the kitchen did the procedures right. So in this long list of things about preventing yourself from getting sick. And by the way, JR, I got this from my tablet here. You gave me it, so I wrote it on here. Here's my tablet with the news on it. All right. It says, every food that you eat should be thoroughly cooked, served hot. Fruit should be only those that you peel. Beverages should be bottled. They should be drunk with a straw and not a glass. And hot tea and coffee are safe alternatives to bottled water if that they were boiled just before they were used. And it says, price doesn't guarantee hygiene. Freezing does not purify. Alcohol doesn't purify. So you say, look, I'm getting the gin and tonic, the alcohol will kill the germs. Doesn't happen. And you even can get epidemics of traveler's diarrhea from carbonated, from bottled drinks. If you open up a Coke or a Mountain Dew or something down there and it doesn't fizz, then don't drink it. Because the fact that it fizzes will tell you that it still has the seal that it had when it left the factory, and if the fizz is gone out of it, then it's probably lost its sterility. The very last thing I tell you is a fruit salad, lettuce, chicken salad are real unwise choices. And lastly, I'll let you think about this. When you go to a restaurant and you see that nice clean bottle of ketchup in America, they go back and refill those bottles of ketchup from big things full of ketchup, and then they wipe the outside of the bottle off. So this is an interesting study where they went to Mexican restaurants in Houston, Texas, and Mexican restaurants in Guadalajara, Mexico. And they tested the ketchup and the condiments on the table. What percentage of the condiments on the table in a Mexican restaurant in Houston do you think were infected with E. coli? Pull it out of there.
I'm gonna say as high as 50%.
Well, it was 40.
Okay, yeah.
Now, you go to Guadalajara, Mexico, which everybody uses as an example of not so safe a place, and it was 66%. So yes, it's more, but it isn't a whole lot more. So even in a Mexican restaurant in the United States, you got to be careful about the ketchup. You got to be careful about the pico de gallo. And what is the one food in a Mexican restaurant in the United States or overseas Mexican restaurants that's the most contaminated? Just stop and think about it. The one we like the best is guacamole. Because the guacamole is all chopped up, it sits there in the back, it takes a whole bunch of those avocados to make it. The surface of it hasn't been cleaned with that really good sterile water. So now the next thing you want to know, we own a place in Mexico, and we go there, and Jane lets people stay. And I think right now, the builder's staying there. So when you go to our place in Mexico, we have this little bottle of iodine drops there. And there's a bottle there that says water purification, but it says chlorine water purification. It's actually just bleach. And then it's got the iodine purification. So if you take a quart of water and you put 2 drops of bleach in a quart of water, that'll sterilize it. You can drink it after 3 minutes. Or put 5 drops of the iodine in a quart of water, you can drink it within 30 minutes. And use that water to wash the vegetables that you're going to eat. Then, in that case, they're safe. And then if you take water, you don't have that, and you boil it for 3 to 5 minutes and let it cool, it's going to be clean because the pan's clean you cooked it in, and the water will be clean, but then you got to be careful what you put it in. So the glass hasn't been washed for that special water. So that whole thing about the immunizations is There's no special immunizations unless you go into some special place, and then you've got to go to a travel clinic and get the right immunizations. And they will counsel you on the most important thing, which is in traveler's diarrhea prevention. Now, two other things that we'll get off of this. Many people say it, I went back to them last week, give me an antibiotic to take while I'm traveling in Mexico because I don't want to get traveler's diarrhea. That's the last thing you should do, because taking that diarrhea can give you that fatal, taking that antibiotic can give you that fatal diarrhea. But if you're really going to be camping or you're going to be backpacking or scuba diving or something in Mexico, the doctor may give you a 3-day supply of antibiotics that you will take if you begin to get abdominal cramps and real pathologic diarrhea, because you'll need to be treated for it. And then lastly, there's the non-pharmacologic, everybody's heard of it, and that's Pepto-Bismol. Bismuth subcarbonate, which is Pepto-Bismol, can prevent a lot of diarrhea, traveler's diarrhea, if you take 4 doses a day of 2 tablespoonfuls of Pepto-Bismol. What you do, it'll make your stool black. You'll say, oh my goodness, I'm bleeding, but that's the bismuth. So if you're going to do anything, all those cautions I just gave you, don't take an antibiotic, think it's going to prevent me from getting sick. There's an exception to that I'll come to in a minute. And if you want to try Pepto-Bismol, fine. Now, the guy who should take an antibiotic is any patient who has inflammatory bowel disease, like ulcerative colitis or something like that, immune suppression, like an organ transplant, or somebody with HIV. You learn more about that than you want to know, right?
No, I think those are some great travel tips. I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to travel out of the country that many times, but I do know when you're traveling, you should find out where you're going and check into, are there precautions that you need to take health-wise to go there? So, and I will say this, and I want to move on, but say your prayer as you are traveling that you don't go to another country and get sick, because that's when you will find out you're not at home.
Yeah. That's where your American Express Platinum card comes in.
You're not
flying out of there.
home.
Anyway, I'll be in Morocco next week somewhere. I'll let you know how it works out.
Recently, I've been finding it difficult to fall asleep. Now, I'm interested in this question because this actually applies to me every once in a while. Recently, I've been finding it difficult to fall asleep. By 5:30, I feel like I could fall right to sleep. However, when I lay down to actually go to sleep around 9:30 p.m., I am unable to actually fall asleep for some time. Is there something all natural I could do to try and remedy this? I could be sitting in my chair at 5:30 and like just nodding off, just say, I give up and go to bed. Then you go to bed, and it's like, I thought just a minute ago I was going to nod off, and now I can't fall asleep.
Unfortunately, what that question asks is really that, is there a pill you can give me that'll help me lose weight?
Okay.
All right, is there a pill that'll fix something when the fixing something is actually a behavior that needs to be relearned? Does that make sense to you? Because I've told you before that melatonin, besides as a natural, certain
Are you going to
dose.
tell me what the bedroom is for?
No, I
All
am.
right, well, you're going to tell me
I am.
not the TV.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
I'm gonna tell you that.
All right.
The answer to the question about something natural to help you sleep is yes, it's melatonin. But in that's the natural. But that really won't fix this problem. Because you created in the question a problem different from trouble falling asleep, and have put it into a behavior where you get fatigued in the afternoon and then you go to bed and you have difficulty going to sleep. So there's a variety of ways this is treated naturally, which is called behavioral therapy, to teach you how to stop this. The first one is sleep hygiene education, which I'll go to in just a minute. There is one called stimulus control. There's one called relaxation. And then there's one called sleep restriction therapy. Now, each of those sounds a little bit complicated. But the sleep hygiene says, one, sleep as long as necessary to feel rested and then get out of bed. Well, that's going to be, if you are in the 95%, it's going to be 7 or 8 hours. Second is maintain a regular schedule of sleep, a regular wake-up time and a regular go-to-sleep time. Try not to force sleep. Avoid all caffeinated beverages for at least 8 to 10 hours before you go to sleep. Avoid alcohol for at least 6 hours before you go to sleep. Avoid any kind of smoking, nicotine intake, chocolate, or anything else for at least 8 hours before you go to sleep. Get the bedroom where it looks like a place to go to sleep. You know, not any light, no television in there, no radio in there. And then, this is a hard part of modern day, you want to avoid light-emitting screens like smartphones or tablets for 2 hours before you go to bed. Now, okay, now you remember that I was talking about traveling and jet lag. Amanda remembers this really good. Well, when you travel longer than 3 time zones, the advice to set your biological clock so that you don't get jet lag and can sleep is to exercise in the daylight for 30 minutes or longer to reset your light, dark biological clock. And if you can remember in airplane, when you're looking at that magazine where they sell stuff, they actually even sell a thing you put on that shines light at you in the dark so that your brain thinks it's daytime. And when you get to where you're going, you take it off, and then it gets to be nice, you can sleep. So that light daylight exercise thing and that daylight, you really, when you go on your computer and your smartphone, because that bright light on that machine, it's 9 o'clock at night or it's 8 o'clock at night, you're getting ready to go to bed in 30 minutes, that screen has told you that it's daylight and it's not time to go to bed. When you're sitting in your chair in the house at 5 in the afternoon, and you're not playing with it, then your brain is telling you this is sleep time. Because the bright light is not out there. There's ambient lights in the room. So you have to sort of change that behavior. Lastly, if you take any kind of a daytime nap and you nap in that chair and you nap for longer than 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to make it harder for yourself to go to sleep when you go to sleep that night. So that is the part that we call sleep hygiene or teaching. Now, I really don't want to ever get into anybody that has to take the sleep deprivation. But what happens with the way they do the sleep deprivation thing is you don't stay in bed. If you go to bed and you're not asleep in 20 minutes, then you get up and leave the bedroom and you do something relaxing, not on a bright screen, like read or play solitaire or have your little glass of warm milk and stay out of the bedroom until you get sleepy and you go back. When you get to the point where you totally relearn, then what you do is you deprive yourself of sleep for several days. Wait until you're fatigued, go to bed. When you wake up, you get out of bed. And after you've done that 2 or 3 days, you'll be so tired that you go back in there and sleep for 8 hours. So there's a lot of things about this, like the sleep business, that is you're doing it to yourself in a habitual way that you have unlearned the normal sleep pattern. And so the biggest offender, and it would be a big offender with you, you've got 4 of these things out right here now. You have the phone, the computer, and the tablet. And I know you well enough to know the last thing you do before you go to bed is pop out emails or whatever. And you have seen that screen or a screen in the 2 hours prior to going to bed. So to make it simple, that's the first thing I would tell the writer of that question. Rather than taking the melatonin, figure out where your sleep problem is, get that part fixed, and then if you need the melatonin, go buy melatonin and take it, because we've already said it's natural, it's safe. You take it about an hour before bedtime, and that's a chance to get into your system, and it will help you sleep. And then you ask me, I'll tell you what the bedroom's for, and I'll do that one more time. And that is that you really do not eat at your toilet, and you need the bedroom to be focused on bedroom activities, which are sleep and companionship, and so there should not be a television in there, you should not read in there, you should not write letters in there, which I always say write letters, people don't do that anymore, so you shouldn't do that in there either, because it's got the right screen. And make the bedroom a place where you go to sleep, and then the habit will be to go to sleep. Is that too much?
No, that's
I
good.
got it. I got it. Now, we know this next question, and we're a little pushed for time, but this next question obviously is not from me, because I am not a college track runner. But this individual, I am a college track runner. I have strained my hamstring in the past, but it doesn't hurt all the time. But each time I finish my 100-meter race, my hamstring is very sore. Is there anything I can do to help with this?
Well, first of all, I would tell him that I'm the wrong guy to ask, even though last week we talked in great detail about how you heal an athletic injury that interferes with performance. Because he wrote the question by saying, I am a college athlete. First, he has an obligation, and it's a contractual obligation that he signed when he signed in to be a competitor with the NCAA to report this event to the hierarchy at his college. The hierarchy at his college has a pyramid. And at the top of that pyramid is his trainer. And then as it goes down that pyramid, you got the trainer, you got the coach, and then you've got a medical team. He's hurting himself badly by continuing to compete, such that after a race, his hamstring still hurts. So his original hamstring injury was never properly treated.
If it still hurt.
It would still hurt. So he should not be competing. And then we go back to last week, where he actually stops running, and he can swim if he wants, he can ride a stationary bike if he wants. We're assuming this isn't bad enough where he can be on the crutch or have it splinted. But he does not do anything that makes that hamstring hurt. He does not run, he doesn't stand a long time, he does nothing that makes that hamstring hurt until it stops hurting. And then he has a very graduated rehabilitation program where he does not increase his exercise by greater than 10% a week. Remember, I said if that guy was a runner who gets on a stationary bike or he gets in the pool to start before he even gets back to walking or running. Lastly, why did he get the hamstring pull in the first place? 100-meter dash is a sprint, and the hamstring is probably one of the thing that most often tears the sprinters, not designed, not the gap. But once they have got where that has been adequately treated and healed, such things as can make that hamstring hurt can be the shoes are worn, foot plants improper, leg length discrepancy, or some technique in his running that needs to be modified. That's why this should all be in the hands of the coach, the trainer, and the physical therapist that they will have. I mean, a small college, let's just say Zell Miller's college up there. What's that
Young
called?
Harris.
Young Harris, nice small college. They got every bit of them up there. And if you talk about somebody that runs for Clemson or Georgia, they got 40 of them. So I'm not the right guy to ask, but that's the right advice.
Okay, before we close, this question is out there, and we have to make this brief. We have the All-Star panel over there. They're discussing what they're getting ready to talk about. Are there health benefits? Is that turmeric?
Turmeric.
All right, is there health benefits to turmeric? If so, what are
Yes.
He said yes.
All right.
they? Oh, I know it was too good.
Well,
Tell us about the internal and external benefits. The internal and external benefits.
okay, let's go to one. Turmeric is the spice that is in curry. And as we know, there's a tremendous amount of beneficial effect from things like cinnamon and ginger, and turmeric happens to be one. But there's a whole bunch of hype over it being magic for rheumatoid arthritis and curing you of cancer, making your hair grow and taking wrinkles out of your face and all the rest. Turmeric is used particularly in the Indian subcontinent, where it's very common for curry. And one of the people here in the audience indicated that they rub it on their face. That's a very, very common use of turmeric. It diminishes inflammation within the skin, and it does have a beneficial effect on the face or on the skin. Turmeric also, as I say, it's in curry, and it has a beneficial effect for dyspepsia and non-specific GI complaints. And is it a cure for peptic ulcer or inflammatory bowel disease? Probably not, but it indeed does have an effect of settling kind of the uneasy stomach, and it's generally used and most successful in people where the culture is used to it and uses it for that purpose, and that'll be people from the Indian subcontinent, Bangladesh, and all that. But we have it in our country because we do have so many people that live here from India. And this turmeric that we get from India that's used in curry is entirely different from the turmeric that comes from Java and that part of the world, called Javanese turmeric root. And if you get hold of that stuff, which is they just call turmeric when they put it in some of these Chinese herbal remedies, that stuff is lousy and it hurts you. So we're talking about the real turmeric, the yellow stuff that's you get at the Indian restaurant, Indian stores or whatever. That's a good product. It's not magic, not to cure your cancer or anything, but it's a good product. But that one from Java is poisonous.
Thank you, Dr. Whaley. We also want to thank Georgia Cancer Specialists affiliated with Northside Hospital. We appreciate them and sponsoring the segment. You can always find Ask the Doc with Dr. Whaley on our YouTube channel, FYN TV Petro News YouTube channel. We always put this segment up here so you can share it with your friends. Great information, travel tips. Very good information on travel tips.
Good, and we got the JR tablet we were reading on.
Yes.
JR, we're reading off your tablet.
Right. He's back there moving stuff around in the warehouse. I can't find him half the time, but I'm
watching, I'm reading one.
Okay. I'm your host, BKB, and when we come back, it's time for the All-Star panel. They're over there waiting. I don't know what we have to talk about. It's only maybe one or two things happened this week that we can bring up. But we'll do that.
Storming.
Easy there. No storming on the set. We'll be right back after these messages from Blue Ridge Circuit World. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll sit
Stormy's not here, but Cloudy is.
I'll sit in for Stormy.
Cloudy is.
I know, I just saw that.
We're both wearing I'm wearing a Stormy jacket. We'll see that one?
It's the Randy Travis
Yeah,
jacket.
another Randy Travis.
I like
It's
this.
show business. Stormy is show business. And that's why.
Whoa,
And this is my,
Supposed to have their
this is
name.
my Bolton tie.
I'm gonna take this.
How
are you?
I'm doing good.
Your show running good?
Everybody in the world trusts, I trust him, so I wore my internet inside.
Hey, JR? This is the hour where you guys start getting traffic.
I got you, I'll block it.
Yeah.
I like the guy. He's a bit of a player.
Supposedly thin skin.
Probably. But I just tell you, don't forget that when he stopped the United Nations thing where he couldn't get confirmed, he was practicing law. He was part of the legal team for Bush,
Oh, man.
for Bush down in Florida, when they were, counting the Chad votes and all that sort of stuff. So he's a very, he's a very well educated, experienced guy.
Yeah, I like him. I just, read some stuff about with some of the people that work with him. He's got a very short fuse.
There you go. Great. Thank you. Well, I'm really interested. I gotta stay up. Everybody else will be watching basketball, but I gotta watch Stormy.
Okay.
Get your virus.
No star. Hell, I can I let them not like that. Back in, because I said,
Yeah.
Is it raining? Is it raining? No, it's not.
I think it is. But.
Not box.
Yeah, okay, I gotta go back. I didn't know.
Where's Sam at?
She's over at the office. We had a bunch of ads come in last night that we had to do graphics for, and so she's gonna do that. So I'm actually texting her right now.
People watch this today?
We get more of an audience on FYN TV, and but on the archives we get a good bit on there, probably about it varies. Some days, we can get 10, some days we can get 200. And then on YouTube, see, those are archives. So they're archives. So what mostly depends on the audience with that one is the tag words. And that David Hogg segment I had one time got 5,000 views last week. But then some of them, it really just depends on the subject.
I turned on one day that had 4 views.
Yeah. Is that a YouTube one? Yeah. It'll do that because that's an archive. But during the show on FYN TV, we'll have anywhere from 20 to 200.
Yeah, but you can track it.
Yeah, we can track it.
DCS is asking me.
Oh yeah. Have a good day.
Sounds like, 490, 411, but I don't know.
All right, guys, are we ready?
You are. No, I'm not.
I'm ready. All right, we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. It's time for the All-Star panel. And we're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge. Wait a minute. I have, if you can't find, what do they say? If you can't find a job, right? There's always a good job there. I don't know. I just wanted to bring this up. There's no,
One flew over the
No. I got a note to remind everybody, there is a job fair going on in Dawsonville. The March 29th, there's a job fair, and we're gonna be putting that out, because, you know, and I tell you why I'm doing it, it's from Advanced Disposal in Dawsonville, Georgia, that is on our website, Thursday, March 29th, is we're talking about, you know, not everybody needs to go to college. You know what I mean?
Very.
And I've been attending a lot of things that people are talking about switching gears on vocational. The reason I brought this up, because we are promoting this job fair, but we talked about this last week when the president had a meeting with Boeing, and these companies were coming and saying, hey, we need trained workers, you know. So if we're gonna bring these jobs back and actually produce some things, we have to switch gears a little bit in the country as far as, you know, not everybody needs to go to 4-year college.
It was amazing what Boeing was doing. The president was talking
That's what I
about,
was saying about
the high school internship program that they got. When they start working with these kids in high school, they can come over to the plants and they learn metallurgy, I think.
Yes.
He was talking about how they work on that, and then they can evolve. They pay for their education. They evolve, and they get a good employee. They get probably a lifelong employee.
Look at Rosie the Riveter. She didn't go to college. She was looking work, and they were fabulous. They got trained on the job. You know, now they don't need to get trained on the job. If I owned Boeing, I would have my own little training school. I mean,
Whoa, now that's what they were
pay 'em.
talking about. That's exactly,
Oh,
that's
really?
exactly what they were talking about. They were talking about, we need vocational schools, we need to put investment in the vocational schools, and then let the companies more or less come in and do the training, put these together, because not everybody
Really?
needs to go to a
Really?
4-year college.
Yeah, they train them to their work skill
Right.
requirements, and so I mean they come right out of school and they just move right into.
That's way true.
I was just looking at this job fair, and you can find that on FetcherNews.com. We'll be putting it on our social media. It is time for the All-Star Panel, Rick, Bruce, and James. Where to start? McMaster's out.
Yay!
Bolton is in.
Bolton, it's my line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're getting
Now the
those.
second part.
We're getting those.
For a minute, I didn't know if you were gonna get into conversation or not. But, you know, it doesn't take long.
You do the job fair.
Oh, by the way, this is Bruce, Rick, and James. No, so McMaster's is out.
The hawk has landed.
Crap.
Everybody has a line. Let's, are you glad?
I'm ecstatic. I mean, I did 3
Yeah.
cartwheels right out of bed.
Yeah, Bolton I think is really good. He has a little rap, but he's
Yeah.
a little thin skinned with some of his people, but.
What say you that there's some saying the president has hit his stride now? Not some, this is what I said last week, okay? Now, some people have copied what I'm saying. Of course they have, obviously. But no, I said this before. What happened, and this is with Tillerson, remember I did the show, and I said, you know what? Who introduced Tillerson to Trump? Gates and Condoleezza Rice.
Mhm.
Okay, Trump did not know him till 3 weeks before, right? I heard this on the radio or something this morning that Trump took some of these people because people were coming in and saying, you know, you ought to give this person a chance. He took some of these people and said, you know, you guys came in and said I needed to work with these people, build a team. And
That was the plan.
but is Trump at the point where he's looking at the establishment, deep state, and saying, I gave you your chance? What do you say?
I
If
think
we have Tillerson out,
he surrounded himself now with 4 really. I mean, I was trying to remember the 4th: Pompeo, Bolton, Kelly, and who's the one I'm leaving out? Another general.
Mattis.
Mattis, thank you. He's got that core group right now that I think it took him a year to kind of figure it out. So he was putting in some folks that had
high name recognition that had some credibility. Okay, we can work with these guys a while. Let me get my feet on the ground, figure out what's going on, and then I'll get my own team after the first year. And I think he's established that and made good on it.
What say you about it? Because I have a take on this. What say you about the media saying Bolton's a warmonger? He advocated for preemptive strikes in Iran and North Korea. What say you on that?
I think that whole group is gonna have the, the military industry complex tag put out by the mainstream media. They're all hawks, if you will. So, I think that's what this world needs. I think people take a lot of heat for it. They're gonna second guess in every way, like we said, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you say about Bolton and the?
Well, the rub was that he was always the hawk against Iran and North Korea.
Right.
So now, like Bruce said, everybody's taking a step and going, we don't want to use military as the first option always. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he does in recommending to Trump, whether he meets with North Korea or just stays back and keeps, hammering with sanctions.
Isn't the military, and let me say this in all due respect, because I have somebody out there, a veteran, that's going to correct me, but I don't say this in no way disrespectfully, but isn't the military, isn't it a situation where we need to be ready, but we don't want to use it? And we're really not ready? I mean, right, right, peace through strength. Now, I got a problem with Trump trying to use that line, and because we didn't have quite the debt then, so I'm not really interested in borrowing all the money we're borrowing to boost the military in foreign countries. So just that one gets me.
Yeah, and Ryan did mention yesterday, talking about the budget, about how we've had 7 armed forces people lost in the last week from training accidents. The helicopter went down, the jet.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me another $200 billion fixes?
I'm not saying that. I'm going back to your point about, we need to be ready. But
okay, we need to be ready, but
and we're not ready.
Okay. We're gonna borrow money to get ready.
Hey, how long are you gonna wait for the tax effects? I mean, it's gonna be a year and a half before you.
Okay, all right.
Whoa.
Let's go back to Bolton, warmongering, Iran, preemptive strike, Iran, North Korea. So we need to be ready, and military. You don't want to go to war. You don't want to have to go to war. But does this not exactly say to North Korea, to Iran, Trump? I'm serious. Trump is serious. Is this?
I think they got a message long ago. I think the message came through long ago.
That's why they're coming to the table. That's why North Korea wants to sit down and chat.
It's tightening the screws on them, and they have no option. They have to come to the table.
I think Trump goes to North Korea with Pompeo and Bolton, and I think you don't walk away not knowing he's very serious. What say you?
Well, I think that up until the last Mohican left, which is at Masters.
Yes, we don't say Mohican. Can you scratch that?
Scratch that.
No, that was pretty. I mean, we're in a Chief Wahoo
You called me a
campaign.
wad last
Yeah,
night.
we're living in a time that Chief Wahoo, the Cleveland Indians Chief Wahoo, can no longer be in the Hall of Fame.
That's a
So we don't
sad
say Mohican on this show.
Scrub the Hall of Fame.
Let's go through a whole list of what
Oh,
you can't
my God.
say.
We'd go up the
Yeah,
rail.
Chief Wahoo. All right, so the last Mohican. Let's get back to that.
Well, I think that now that I believe that Masters and CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, that is not a good thing.
Right.
And essentially, I believe that Trump, when he came in, wasn't aware of how deep the deep state was. And now he's found out that it's taken he's taken a lot of shots while to learn he was so dangerous. McMaster is one of the last to go that was in his inner circle. So now, McMaster didn't want to, he was part, and I believe he's part of the deep state. Now he's gone. So now what I believe is that North Korea, Iran, the people they have there now are serious, and they know they're serious. I don't believe we're going to war.
I agree.
But I believe now the stick they're carrying is like a big giant redwood tree. They know they're carrying a big stick, and they will not hesitate to do it. Until then, they were covered by the deep state, and it's pervasive everywhere, as far as my studies go.
Well, I'll tell you this, I have to agree with you because you don't want to believe certain things. And when I say that, you don't, when you go to, Trump probably in his heart didn't want to believe that the FBI at the highest level was this. Right. We don't, exactly. So I think what you're saying is very valid that, you probably went in office, hearing this, being told this, but not, once you get in there, like, wow.
Holy cow, it really does. It is for real.
So I think you're right. I don't think there'll be war. I do not, but I think Trump will be taken serious. He said on the campaign trail that Iran was the Iranian nuclear deal was what, the stupidest deal or something like that. Okay. So well,
He said a whole list of stuff.
right, but and then he also said he would solve North Korea. And I think the guy's serious when he says that. Let's stay with this, but let's switch gears a little bit because you took the turn I wanted to go. This week, 7 out of 10 surveyed believe there is a such thing as something like the deep state.
Well, it's about time you're opening your eyes and believing.
Did you see that survey?
I did.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. But they said, well, it had to be explained to them what the deep state is. I know this is a silly question to this panel, but how
Let Jane take a whack at just throwing a deep state definition out there.
go?
I think you can, and I've heard you, you're well read in this and you study it and
And obviously you have great knowledge of Mohicans. So go right
That's right.
ahead. Anybody that knows
we'll
Mohicans.
pick it apart if we don't agree with it.
I would expect that. I'm 1/16 Cherokee, so maybe I have a little leeway.
Oh,
A
man.
little leeway. See these cheekbones?
Yes.
All right, let's get back to the deep
Okay.
state.
The deep state it's been going on for a very long time, even in Europe, but it wasn't called the deep state. It's the Illuminati. It's a group of people that are pervasive, really in the world, that control the banks,
Money, yeah.
money, the military, and the governments of many countries. So now, in our country alone, they're everywhere. I mean, families go back to the Rothschild. I mean, you're saying Obama goes back to the Rothschild. Give me a break. I haven't looked at all that, but the deep state is a pervasive, very powerful group of people and families that control the banks in this country, the Federal Reserve, and they've then now gotten into the government. And people that I hope we find out very soon are going to be exposed.
They push for open borders.
They want to rule the world. They want us to have no states, no countries, no borders,
Push for new world
open
order.
borders.
Now, this is way in the future.
They want one world
Yeah,
order.
Not too long if we let it, if we don't stop.
Are there any Cherokees in the world?
I don't know, but I'm sure not. Now, the shadow government's a little different. That's kind of the people that are within kind of the deep state that want to take over the government by and rule it by coup. They kind of
Obama's part of that. Obama would be
intermingle.
part of the
Yeah,
shadow government.
right.
How about Brandon and Clapper?
They are demons.
They are truly.
They're deep state. They are really.
I mean, you listen to, you watch Brennan on the
Oh, my God.
on the mainstream media these days. This
Oh.
guy, how did he ever get appointed to that position?
Look at Brenner and Holder and all of them, how angry. And
Samantha Power, Susan Rice.
look at how angry, and it's the head of the FBI, what's his name right now? Ray. Christopher Ray, like him or not, said that, and when it's not we're switching gears, I think we're in the same subject, but you know, the media, I am, veterannews.com, we're committed to bringing the truth, the best of our ability. I mean, we're a small network. And what I mean by that is, I will watch Fox from 4 to 5. Okay? And I'll switch over to CNN from 5 to 6. And then MSNBC from 6 to 7. Okay, that's what I do in the morning. A lot of mornings. Three mornings a week. 4 to 5 a.m. Fox.
What are they doing? Who's on?
Well, first of all, there's people like me, we have to get up. If we don't get up, spread the world. There's no world
Are
down
they
there.
talking to anyone with any sense of?
Yeah, they do, they do.
Okay.
Anyhow, let's get back. They have that thing called Fox and Friends first. So I did that for them. Then CNN, okay? Then CNN, I don't think it's early edition, right? And then MSNBC has, you know, Nick and Joe.
Morning.
But here's the point. Remember when you rush home, not rush, I'll say it the same. You remember when we lived in the world in 1970, okay? And we knew all of the 3 networks would have the same lead story, but we would watch to see which network spun that lead story. So if you went home, let's just even go back 1970, we'll use that word. So if you go back to 1970 and the nightly news, and you tuned into ABC, you knew what the lead story was. It's the biggest story of the day, but you wanted to see how ABC would turn it. NBC would have the same lead story, CBS would have the same lead story, and what we dealt with is how they turned it. Now, if you watch 4 to 5, and you watch 5 to 6, you watch 6 to 7, there's no such thing as a lead story. You understand what I'm saying? It is the direction that propaganda is going that
Yeah.
you have, I mean, you would think years ago, like when I watched Fox at 4 a.m., there should be the lead story, the biggest story of the day should have, and they may spin it their way, but then CNN should have the same lead story. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm saying this morning when I'm talking about the Allahu Akbar guy.
Not all of them. No, I watched, no, MSNBC, Morning Joe? No, they didn't even mention Frank.
CNN.
You know what, yes, you know what, Brenda, Minda Brzezinski said this morning? She said, how do you get a former Playboy bunny and a porn star off the front page? You fire H.R.
Oh,
McMahon.
my
No,
God.
I swear that was the lead. That was the lead. That's exactly. Is they're trying to sell you that Trump said, I need to get her off TV. McMaster, you're fired. Call the network. That's how they think. So let's go back to Rick.
Look at, what's interesting, yeah, you brought up the 70s and, you know, the 3
I'm
faces.
somewhat familiar with it.
Yeah, the 3 faces that were, well, we had Broke Up, he was probably on NBC. Who's the guy that was forced to step down because he lied about Bush's, Dan Rather?
CBS Dan Rather.
Yeah.
Broke off. And I don't know if like 1970, I don't know when
Yeah.
Peter Jennings took the reins over.
That's the other guy, but you listen to those guys now, and they're so far left.
Yo, yeah.
Oh.
And those were the guys that we were listening to like religion.
Right, exactly.
We look at those guys now, and they come out of the woodwork with some of the most bizarre
But
claims.
then they read the news more than they're supposed to, it's much more opinionated.
Right, they did read the teleprompter. They were trained to read
But yeah, but
the
yeah.
teleprompter, follow the teleprompter.
It wasn't so dripping with politics than
You know,
opinion.
And my dad called Walter Cronkite.
Crunch crunch.
I didn't really think back then that I needed to look for the way they spent it. I just thought the news was the news.
No.
Did they put a big spin in? I mean, I was
No,
in college, I didn't watch.
I will say this, and not to get sidetracked, I will say this. We lived in a nightly news house where you sit down, you watch the nightly news, I didn't care if you were 8. Right, no, the news is going. No, I'm serious.
Unless you're outside playing.
No, I'm serious. And when you watch the nightly news, you didn't make a sound. And then, you know, my dad, right or wrong, Then we had the post-nightly news, and it was him explaining what they really said. I'm serious, that's where I get that from. It's like, you watch the nightly news, you're 8, now it's off. Now let me tell you what they really want you to believe out of that.
That's interesting.
And I was like, oh, so
Now we
that's
know,
right.
we know where you're coming
Exactly. So that's how I am today. I watch them and I study their sentences and I break down their words. Where I was
And you
going-
explained it to Lisa.
No, sorry, I did not say that. I did not say that. Bruce is on his own over there. Oh, Bruce.
Yeah.
Amanda, now you know where he gets it in the morning, right? We listen to, now let me tell you exactly what they really.
Oh, I've already known this.
Amanda?
I've already known it.
No. Where I was going with that? FBI director, right?
Christopher Wray.
Okay. They followed the rules by the letter, I dotted T crossed to dismiss McCabe. If Friday comes and goes, okay? If Friday comes and goes and McCabe eases his way into retirement, it was never about the money, okay? It was never about him losing his pension. But if Saturday morning McCabe was not flying, we have thousands of FBI agents on the field today that we could not have applied the same standard. Period. A standard of the FBI would have been gone. Do you understand?
So you're saying he took one for the team?
No,
no,
he had to go down.
Ray
He had to go down
fire
to
him.
the, yeah.
He had to fire him. He had to. Or a standard of the FBI was gone. So what the point is Ray is the one that sent the recommendations of the protocol ladder, right? He goes to the, I am so amazed, like Chuck Todd, okay, that sleepy-eyed, whoever he is. All right, Chuck Todd, example of a 4-year college, but I think he's so smart. I watched him on Sunday, he had to go in. Chuck Todd had to go in. He's that little. He's now you talk about my sister explaining to my dad why she had to go back.
He might have gone to Bonek for a
Both No. But Chuck Todd knows that the FBI is under Department of Justice, Executive Branch. He knows that. So he knows that Ray has to write the recommendation and state all the reasons why an agent or whatever should be dismissed. It has to go to the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice has to take the recommendation. So, right? Now, if I know that, going from Bowtech school, Chuck Todd must know. But they sell it to us on the media. That's why I was in the media that, they fired him, a 20-year civil servant. Fired him just hours before retirement. No, that's not what happened.
It should have been in the
Right?
Yeah. And you got Adrian
They
Mitchell
should
out
have.
there.
You understand what I'm saying? With the FBI could not let Friday come and go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because the Office of Professional Ethics
Right.
made the call. I mean, they said this guy is.
Their own internal watchdog.
Well, sometimes you put on.
There was
the
no
pressure.
trouble.
It
It
never
wasn't
would have
Trump,
happened.
it was the FBI.
Yeah, but the pressure is mounting on
Wait a minute. No. I will say this. I agree with you on the pressure, but there was this interview, this week with Ray on NBC or whatever.
NBC.
All right. And the question to Ray was, has the president put pressure on you? And he just, no, right? Really short, no. I've had no pressure from the White House. Has the president tried to get you to move a certain way in this investigation? Not at all.
Do you believe him any more than Comey tried to decipher say no?
Yeah, I
You know,
do because,
when he answered it, it was a huge qualifier.
what was it?
He said, no, he hasn't, he didn't say unequivocally no. He said, no, there's been no pressure on Russian collusion.
Wait, he,
He framed it.
yeah.
If you go back and look at that quote
I agree
exactly,
with that.
and that jumped out at me, and I don't know if I'm just making up
No,
something.
that is smart. Yeah, they could.
No, I tell you what, I tell you, I watched it and then watched the media spin it, how Ray threatened to quit the FBI if President Trump put pressure on him to fire certain people.
That question
No,
came up.
that's
in
not
that
what
interview.
happened though.
Yeah.
What Ray is saying, if you watch the interview, is, took an oath, I have to follow these rules. It doesn't matter who walks through the door, it says, don't follow these rules. If you ask me to do that, I'd have to say, sir, I have to leave, okay? It doesn't matter if it's President Trump, Obama, George Bush, Ronald Reagan. If Ray was saying, you agree with this? I agree. That if anyone came in and asked him to move from these standards that are set, he would have to say, I'm sorry, I have to leave.
But why don't you get the feeling that Comey acted like that and Peter Strzok
Because I'm
acted
not
like
getting the
that?
feeling, because Comey's getting ready to go on book tour. Watch the gushing. Don't get me worked up. We need to go to break. No, watch this. Comey's getting ready to go on book tour. You have never witnessed the gushing of liberals like you're about to see. Like when he goes on The View, they're just gonna be laying down and saying, like, dang. So glad you came. I mean, it's gonna be sick. Chuck Todd and Comey. Would you stop with that?
Hey, can I ask a question before break? Back to Jane. Is Facebook part of the deep state?
Google, the deep state, I don't know if they're.
The internet in
They're
general.
Definitely being manipulated by. So, you know, you gotta earn your way
Facebook.
in, they're trying to, okay.
Facebook, $1.3 trillion spending bill. Border wall, will that ever happen? How can you make a
Yes.
deal? You think so?
It's gonna happen. So they got enough to build this much.
96 miles.
Well, they're gonna start somewhere. They're
Yeah.
gonna do anything, I mean.
Okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna find out if Bruce thinks it was appropriate to congratulate Vladimir Putin. That's the question that we'll be asking. And I'll be doing my John McLaughlin impression. Bruce, what do you think? Go back right after this message.
All right, clear.
You know how many billions
Like,
Zuckerberg lost?
Six. I heard six.
Good.
He doesn't care.
10%.
Now he's, but see, they're exposing so many people. He's doing it.
He should.
Right, and so, man, he's scrambling. Oh, I'm so sorry. He knew exactly.
But honestly,
So much stuff going
if
on.
you go back and watch his interviews, his movie, everything, Mark Zuckerberg, he was upfront that he built Facebook for analytic purposes.
Yeah, the day he did.
Did.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Analyzing is one thing, but then they analyze and then they brainwash.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, but they
bad
know
part.
that data. They know
But
that
see,
data.
he doesn't control that anymore though, because it's sold. But he and the whole company was based, you know, the front side of it was social media, but the earnings were for analytic purposes, you know, and I don't know why he's just not upfront with that, just to please everybody.
When I saw the movie, that's all I saw. You know, he was a little kid in college and he just
Mhm.
wanted people to not have to leave their dorms. I mean, I think kind of just to be able to talk with each other.
Right.
Somewhere at the college down the
That's what
street.
the people that chit chat with each other.
Yeah, so I don't, when did the,
Your grandparents
Analytical
put their
thing.
kids on.
yeah, that's what I got on it for, to see my grandkids. That's true. I rarely go on.
Well, you got to think too, when people start websites, you know, you have to look at it from a business perspective. How do you get money from building a website?
It's always about the money.
Yeah, you always. Like for us advertisers, you know, that's what people make money off of. So when he branches out, because remember when advertisements started and all of that, of course he started out with those. But then when people come in and they're like, oh, hey, there's all this information on these people, we'll offer you this contract. That started pouring in from day one with him whenever it got off the ground.
How's that different from the NSA though? When I go on Facebook, I don't want someone to know, to delve in. And did you see the attorney who said, well, when you say,
So let's pay
when you
workers
take
in?
this.
Yeah.
You're working out too hard?
No, well, maybe, but no, it's just weather. It happens a couple times a year with the cold mixed with the moisture and everything like that. It's just right across. Pain.
Got 45 seconds, guys.
Zuckerberg knew on day one when he said, if somebody were telling me in 2008 that my data or Facebook would be the center of attention to an election, Bull, you knew on day one that you had a vehicle to collect data, period. He could stop all political advertising tomorrow. But if you think Facebook is going to be there so you can get some grandkids' pictures on there and a vacation, and they're okay with that, no, they're selling you data. Every time
Hey,
you
look at
click.
what I'm getting for free.
Right, exactly. No. Every time you click.
And the advertising there, of course, and they had one on Twitter, Twitter hasn't monetized.
In our simple little business, I can go on my ad server, and every time somebody clicks, I can get anything I want.
You know, I wanted to put a little game on my computer. So, for once, I read I Excel. And in there, it said, you will give so-and-so the right to all of your
Absolutely.
pictures, all of your
Absolutely.
contacts, and everything on your.
It's not
It said
yours.
that point blank. If you click this, we can come into your computer and get everything. Of course, but that's what a lot of them said. The lawyer said, my wife thought she was doing the one app. When we all analyzed it, it was like 42 apps this woman had said they're just sucking us dry, and that's illegal. To send us to places that we don't want to go, right?
All right, guys, are you ready?
Okay, I don't know where, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right, we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back. I'm your host, VKP. Good morning from I was gonna say from the office, but I'm not at the office. But I guess I'm in circuit. And I have to sell these tablets. And I'm worried that if JR finds out before the show's over that I don't have these tablets sold, I mean, that's what, I don't have nothing to do. I have to sell tablets, I have to do everything. Circuit World, Blue Ridge, beautiful Friday morning is the All-Star Political Panel with Bruce, Rick, and Jane, trying to get it together here. Election in Russia, Putin wins, Trump congratulates him. Good move or not, Bruce?
Yes, good move. I think it was polite. Nice thing to do. Yeah, you want to be friends with your biggest enemy.
Oh gosh, okay. Going right into the weekend. I'm gonna work on that all weekend long. I'm gonna go with your suggestions. Holy mackerel. Go ahead.
Obama did it. In 2012, Obama.
Now, Bruce.
I'm sorry, this is bring up.
This is not the
Black
place
and
to
white
bring.
comparison.
There's no place. This is not the platform to bring facts.
Bruce, did you just say that? Amanda, did he say what I thought he said?
I'll tell you what. Wow, censor him. Okay.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
You've been watching too many movies. You are falling right into
Into the trap.
MSNBC. MSNBC said that's what Trump does. He governs
They got that
by
messed
watching
up.
TV and movies. So you think he's doing a Godfather move? Keep your enemies.
Look, everybody in the free world called the guy and congratulated him. If I called him, I would have said, hey, you like that collusion we had?
No, you know what
I
I-
helped you get elected. I hacked your election. That's why you won by 70%.
That's not true.
No, you know what I would have said if I would have called him? I would have said, it's a shame that maybe you could give Hillary some pointers because you know how to win a rigged election in your favor and she does not. Because the election was rigged in her favor and she lost.
By the way, speaking of rigged elections, is Steele going to be analyzed to see,
Yeah, what's happening?
did I see something on one of the websites this morning that
He
Steele?
told me with some.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
you're gonna be verified.
Before he goes on. One before something. Yes. Yes.
You wanna see where you're
Like a hamster.
Committee over.
Okay, stop.
Sorry.
Timing is short and we have some serious things. $1.3 trillion. See, I for one believe that bipartisan is terrible. I do not believe in compromise. If I'm right, why the hell am I compromising with you if I'm right? That's my belief. What say you, Bruce?
When do you ever get anything done though if you don't move forward?
Oh, no, he's not one of those. Did you?
I am one of those.
Are you
It's a
one of
six-
those, you move
it's a
the
six-
ball forward?
It's a 6-month budget deal, you know, we'll be going through this again and, you know. but-
Get the nitro out of the bag for me, I'll have to have it with the break.
The big one's coming.
So you're okay with the 1.3 trillion dollars?
Hey, I want to get the money to the military, so, you know, if things, the balloon does go up in North Korea, we're, you know, at least halfway better ready.
See, I think we could have got the money to the military and held our ground.
How?
I don't know, but right here, I don't know the details. I don't know the details, but Trump threatens to vote veto omnibus over lack of wall funding and documentation.
I don't think he cares about the topic, but.
Who doesn't?
What's that, $1.3 trillion, gets us to September? Really?
Yeah, the end of the fiscal year. I don't know if you had a chance to read that.
Yes, the 6.
The 6, I printed it this morning. It's
Yeah.
really, you ought to put a link on your site to that, because it's really, oh, I'm sorry.
Bruce is moving the ball forward, he wants nothing, something new.
Yeah, a good friend of ours sent us something this morning, a link to Zero Hedge.
It's about 5:45 this morning.
Yeah, exactly. That there's 6 things that'll really make conservative live in the spending bill. And, you know, you've got some stuff in here that's just really unbelievable.
$1.3 trillion spending bill gets us to September, what's it?
Well, when September comes, we go another step forward. He had to do that, I believe, because there's so many people against him, and he's got to move forward, or it's just a stalemate. I think he put a lot of hard thought into that. But I don't really think he had any choice at this point. I'd like to say something about Trump and Putin, if I could.
Go for it.
I think that, of course, Russia is that Russia. We have fought together on wars. We were allies. However, things have gotten so incredibly horrible, for lack of a better word, in this world. And I sincerely feel that Trump and Putin have got together and say, we have got to stop what's happening in a certain degree. We've got to do it together, or this world. And I do believe that they have sat in a very private place and said, for one thing, the pedophilia, I've heard that Putin knows all of that. And he said, if you don't bring it out, I'm going to, it's pervasive. That's just one thing. But I don't think Russia's just turning over and they're going to be pen pals. But I do believe they have a common cause. And Trump has said to him, I just feel it so certainly, we've got to do some of this together. And it's going to take us to get through this mire that's the deep state in the whole world.
You had everybody's attention until they're waiting for you to explain what it's about.
Oh.
Joke. Okay, so Putin and Trump, it doesn't bother me. Obviously, we know Russia, we know Putin, yes. His opponent either would lose the election or be poisoned, whichever comes first. Okay, we know that, right? I'm so bad. We just had a black and white reference, and I'm so bad. Okay, so I gotta go. Let's see. Here's where I'm going to go with that. Putin and why do we gloss over? Did you read the story on China this week? How they're in our schools, the espionage, how deep it is from China.
I did not read that. I did not.
Yes, it's the number one espionage. China. They've got kids in our universities. I mean, it is. Would you hear it? Are you going to hear it on the news? No.
But they don't view that as a threat until it blows up in their face. Russia to the mainstream media is a much worse bad actor than Xi Jinping and his whole.
Oh, you think Russia's worse than China?
No, the mainstream media thinks they're painted.
I think China is much more dangerous.
China is taking over the world. You go to Africa, virtually every country in Africa, there's Chinese development there. They're building roads, they're building factories, they're They're taking over.
I just got back
Damn.
from China not long ago, and it's, I've just gotten back from China, 8 months ago. Buildings everywhere. It is, and in Shanghai, my gosh, it looks like you're on.
Okay, let's stay with that just a minute. Stock market dropped. I don't know what it's opening today yet. It's supposed to be opening maybe in the negative again. Dropped 700 points yesterday. Fear of the tariff war with China. China has picked 128 companies in the United States for products they're going to go after. What say you with this tariff and what Trump is doing with the trade?
I think this is a very good example of how thin-skinned Americans have gotten. I mean, they just can't deal with some of the stuff, they panic.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you were saying about the 1.3 trillion. The deficit is $20 trillion and climbing maybe close to 21. Do you believe Americans really would be willing to stand the pain to go through all the cutbacks?
Oh, this is my new hero today.
I don't think it's going to happen in Ireland.
For all this time that you've been on the show, I knew there would come a day. I knew there would be the day that I would have to look, Rick, stay over there. No, you can't get me in
my chair.
America is not ready for the pain necessary to make the corrections. Thank you. I'm sitting here this morning, stock market's down 700 points, and I'm hearing everybody cry about the tariff, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I don't think we're ready for the pain necessary to correct the trading balance. Right? I don't think, how about the entitlement program? I mean, exactly. He said he will, and the reason I believe they're working, because I'm not the bright economist, I don't have 12 years in school up there, but exactly. The reason I think this is working is because of the outrage of it. China is outraged. If they wouldn't care if things, Trump just do that. They're outraged. The EU is, they're outraged, right? Look, Canada's outraged. Mexico. That's why it says to me, hey, this must be the right direction.
What's that in the deep state, People in all those other countries are getting nervous that he's shaking up the whole damn thing.
Let me tell you, they are terrified, and the market is really a joke. You're supposed to buy stock and hold it, right?
Is it a joke to Bill?
You know what?
Is it a joke to Bill?
No.
Whoa, my pet, so.
You know who can control it? Soros, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they can make that market move any day they want to make it move. And so, they're, probably, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, those people that own the banks and things, and they make the market move where they want it to, when they want it to. So the market's a joke.
We have our final subject of the day for each of you. But before we get there, we have to have like 2 minutes on Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and what turned him white this week. Sorry, I meant ghostly white. No, ghostly white.
You're taking us off.
All I'm trying
No,
to do is call a spade a shovel.
ghostly white.
Mouth
Can
and
I finish? What turned Mark Zuckerberg ghostly white this week was it only took $6.6 billion in his financial portfolio to get him to think, whoa.
Yeah.
All right, so anyhow, what do you say this Analytica, Cambridge Analytica and selling the data and whatever, what say you?
I think he got, caught with his pants down, figuratively. Because that's, data mining is what they do.
That's what they do. Facebook does not exist for you to have your page and tell people what you like, what you don't like, and to post your grandkids' pictures. It does not. It exists to get your data and sell it. And they got caught.
Anybody that thinks they're getting on Facebook for nothing, anybody that thinks that, how do they make their money is living in a dream world.
Exactly. Because you sit there and say, how do they make money? They sell your data. You are data, period. Okay, go ahead, what say you?
Well, I think that the spin was that when Facebook started, it was just for grandkids and going on vacation. I do believe that the ulterior, they knew what they were gonna do, but most people in this world think still, if they're not on watching the news, that it's still just grandkids. If they don't see the news, they still think it's just sharing, what you're doing today and how pretty the lake is. They do.
You know what, and I'm gonna say this, no matter where you're at, there are so many small little towns that you love to visit on the weekend. And I'm not saying this is bad, but there's a lot of little towns that tourist places that you love to visit and walk up and down and go through the shops. Don't get caught off guard that there's not a group that developed a plan to get your shopping habits and see if you went in this store at 10 a.m. and then went over to the coffee shop. Don't get caught off guard if that's not happening. Right in small town America, that's where you live. You are that.
How many times have you gone into a restaurant and you think, wow, that's a coincidence? How did they know I was here?
No, you got the location. I bring this up,
Yeah.
and you got the location thing
On
on
the
here.
locator,
Well, you can't do that for simple reasons. For like me, we use it for tax purposes because I have a mileage thing on there, and that way, all I gotta do is send it to my accountant. But on the flip side, now I'm wondering why McDonald's is offering me a free cup of coffee, and then I look up and there's golden on. How did they know I was coming down 515?
There's always the flip side.
Okay, my pet is over here at Bruce. What say you? You have the folder? Are we breaking it out? Bruce has the folder. Let's stay with. Pay attention.
Winners and losers, okay?
All right.
Yeah, winners, okay.
I have a tie for the losers. Yeah. The losers, like I mentioned before, are Brennan and Clack, the lying SOBs that send the
Bruce is,
But, hey, the tie is with Hillary. She can't even take a trip without falling.
listen, I have viewers out there that don't know what a pen pal is, and they're trying to figure out what SOB stands for. This is a very difficult joke. Go ahead.
And my win, the Los
Oh, so they
Alamitos
tied.
City
So you had three losers? Hillary?
Brennan and Clack right there together.
You put them.
Now they're like,
Yeah, all right, go ahead. And?
And the winner, Los Alamitos, California City Council.
Yeah.
Opting out of the sanctuary city.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
May there be more like that.
there are other cities in California that say, wait a minute, we don't know that we wanna opt out. So way to go. That is the sanctuary cities, in a sanctuary state of California, that some cities are saying, we wanna opt out. Was it?
My loser of the week is Mount Holyoke College. Small liberal arts college in Massachusetts. Women only. What did they do? They put out a dictum that says that we cannot refer to our students anymore as women. All women college can't call them women because they want to make a more inclusive environment.
what are they called? Human?
What do they call them?
Persons.
Huh?
Persons, and it as an adjective you do nears or near.
It's a.
Well, I will tell you this, I don't care what you call it. Can I finish? I will tell you this, I don't care what you call it, you're gonna like this, you'll listen. But I have to say, it's public, and I don't know if they've changed, but Centenary College in Hackettstown, New Jersey, used to be an all-girls, women's, whatever the hell you are, college, okay? And we used to be 12 years old, ride our bicycles to the county pool. We had to pass the all-girls college, and that's where we throw the bikes down just behind. Was that wrong?
But these days it is.
Huh?
Gosh.
Was it?
No.
You okay with that, Bruce? Yeah. Well, at least I didn't bring up the SOBs. Oh my God. Centenary College, Hackettstown. We used to ride our bikes to the pool. On the way, we stopped. We stopped just a minute.
We just had a name of winter.
See, the girls were playing bad if you had it with it.
I think the winner.
You have to stop seeing the ladies that play badminton.
Oh, geez.
Jane. I'm so sorry, Jane.
Go ahead.
Right, Jane.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done. I know. All I can think about is.
I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna be. I think the losers were Nevada and the winners were Loyola, and it was an game. 69-68. It was breathtaking and watch Loyola on stage.
Good for you. I like that. Folks, I do, and let's let me reel it in. No jokes. No, I understand where Bruce is coming from, but I have listened for years and years. I'm going to a political meeting. I went to one last Saturday. I went to 2 this week at night. Going to one tomorrow down in Pickens County. Maybe have some candidates for governor of Georgia there. And I have always heard these politicians talk about moving the ball. And I understand moving the ball down, and sooner or later you get in the end zone, okay? And, when you are, first and goal from the 1, all right, and you have 4 shots from the 1 to get in like a freebie, and you still do not get in the end zone, that's what I call the Republican Party today. You asked us in 2010 to give you the reins, and you would stop X, X, and X. You didn't say you'd move the ball. You said, I'll stop X, X, and X. The Senate, you said, if you give me the Senate, I will stop X, X, and X. We have first and goal from the 1. We have the president. We have a conservative Supreme Court at this time, hopefully. Okay. We have judicial that's working in our favor. We have the Congress, which is House and Senate. And I'm not okay with moving the ball. I think it's time to stop spending, period. Because you know what? We out here in the real world understand that when the bank account says 0, we can't say, well, it's something so simple about when we run out of money, we have no more. Damn it, you don't have any more money because it's ours. And we don't have any more. We got to get it from China.
They own it.
They own it. I'm sorry. I almost got through with no bad words. But let me go to the pet of the week. But I am telling you, I'm totally against 1.3 trillion in spending. I'm totally for our military. We just did the first audit of the Pentagon. First audit is the Pentagon. I think we've got $1 billion we can't find. At least $1 billion we can't find, right? All right, so I'm sorry. I am 100% behind our military. Now, looking at the camera, there's not one person wearing the uniform, man or woman, in this country that I do not support. But I have to say, we have to have a little bit of financial, we have to have a little bit of financial, we have to, I don't know,
It's not going to happen to get the rhinos out of the Republican Party. That's got to come with elections because the rhinos are. They have no idea Democrats are going to win, so they can say they're going to do anything. They don't.
Democrats will organize a popular uprising.
Yeah, but I'm with you 100%. But to move the ball, you cannot tell me today on March 23rd anything that made Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer smile and another 100 Democrats smile, that there's anything good about it. There's not an ounce, not even an ounce. Yeah, sorry about that. Was that too over the top?
I'm just delighted to see Rita come through.
I am. I got to get to my pet. My pet's going to get me all worked up.
That's a big old boy.
It's time for our pet of the week. Hey, Bruce, you've done an awesome job because I don't think America's ready for the change necessary to make the corrections. And I love that. I was waiting for that. I was hoping it would come from you. There was always a chance. Basketball this weekend. On target. Let's watch some basketball. It's time for our pet of the week. We've had so much fun. We're at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. We'll be back right after this.
You're clear.
I'm so tired of these politicians. Yeah, freaking $1.3 trillion.
All in the bag. All in the bag.
Batman. Oh my God, we had to ride the bicycles past them.
I know.
Sit there, college.
We would go by, that's all practicing, watching, go to school, they practice.
All right, how do you want to shoot the dog?
Oh,
Amanda.
Rita.
Hey.
I must have lost the entire month of April,
Just
because I
put
heard
that.
you weren't coming back till May.
I'm not, I'm back safely, I have to get my taxes together.
It's
so
delighted, I'm delighted to see you.
But I
And I
will be
hope-
back more.
I hope your
towards
dad
the-
is doing better.
He is,
Yeah.
he just can't be left alone right now, my sister's with him, and then
Nice.
she's gonna go back to Texas,
Everything
and then when
good?
she comes back, I can come back on.
Yeah.
Mitch,
Thank you.
but let me tell you, she's admirably filled in
I know,
well.
I've been watching, every Friday.
Yeah, I got it.
She's good.
I can't tell her shoes, but I tried. At least.
Mississippi in a riverboat.
He's
Oh.
such, he's worked right
in Portugal, to
And-
Spain.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Hard jumper.
You've been to Portugal, right?
I have, a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, I went 2 years ago, I think. So, and we went to there, and then a couple months later, we went to the Bahamas, and
Whoa.
Big difference.
yeah, I know that was like.
Did you like the
I
river?
didn't like it, but I only went to Nassau and Freeport. I didn't go like we were so crunched for time too because we were on a cruise,
Yeah, you don't get a lot of
And-
time on it.
and people were sending me like, go over and see the pink sands and stuff, and I was like, we don't have time. And I was like, seriously, like you didn't even see on the island like where there could have been pink sands at all. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've been to Bahamas a long time
What's your
ago.
name?
And I didn't know we had pink sand.
Yeah, on the other side of the island, so it's like on the opposite side of Freeport.
Are you
This is just-
in or out?
I've only been on one. I'm getting ready to go on
Yeah,
another.
yeah.
I'll give you a call later.
Oh,
I
that'd be
don't
great.
like the way
Yeah.
they just manhandle. I mean, you get
I know.
Okay, it was fun.
I know we didn't
Okay,
even
Ron.
do anything.
No, and you have to be back at this time,
Yeah.
be back at that time, and I don't like
I know.
it. So,
Next time I told Cody, I was like, we're just gonna
Man,
fly.
destination,
We
yeah.
got
have your
15
plans.
seconds.
Karen, don't bring the water, don't bring the
Don't bring
water.
the wall.
Thank you. He doesn't need
That's
water,
okay,
he's
Rick.
fine, he's like.
Don't worry.
I got it.
All right.
Say when?
All right, hold on.
Are you having lunch today?
No.
Where are you going?
Home.
You'll fill up. Bad legs.
No, just, I don't make no comments today. I'm not happy about yesterday.
Okay, I understand. I don't know anything about it, so.
I understand. That's why I didn't say anything there.
All right. We are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We're at Circuit Road here in Blue Ridge. Rena, good to have you back. We've missed you. We hope everything's going well. And Karen is here with us. And this is no 6-week-old baby. I mean, you have been bringing. Come here, Ruger. This is Ruger.
This is Ruger. Ruger is,
Are you
he's a,
gentle?
gentle.
Can we roll around?
Oh, yeah, he'll give you a bath with his kisses, he's such a lovely dog.
All right, let me see. Give me smoke. Give me smoke.
He's a Great Pyrenees
Let's see.
mix. He's a year and a half old.
Get this.
Give him some kisses.
Oh, you want me to sing my song? Who the fuck me? Who the fuck me? How are you doing?
Oh my God.
This is Ruger.
Ruger is, he
Oh.
is such an amazing dog. Ruger's a year and a half. He was shot. What? He's a gunshot dog. He was shot in the butt. He was very lucky. It did not penetrate anything vital. He is recovering from that, but he is really good. He loves other dogs except for small ones. He's not too thrilled about small dogs, maybe because he has to look down so
They
far.
look like a snack.
But he does play well with other dogs. He rides well in the car. As you can tell, he's just a huge, loving dog, and he really needs a good home. A fenced-in yard would be really good here. He loves to play, and he's just an average big
Not
baby.
Look at my sweater.
He's gonna knock it out.
So Ruger is a year and a half
A
old,
year and a half old. Great Pyrenees mix. Like a
and
puppy.
he is absolutely beautiful.
Sit down.
He is beautiful.
Good boy. See, he behaves.
Yeah. Here,
Over here.
Ruger.
Oh.
Ruger.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. That's okay. We will live. We will clean it up. We'll do whatever we have to do. That's actually my fault for having a cup of coffee
Obviously, he has one of those
The
tails.
tail constantly
All
wags.
right.
It does.
So,
See, this is how Moose is.
what?
This is how Moose is.
This is your
Constantly happy.
Ruger.
And for
All right.
being shot,
Let me
you
see
know,
your paw.
you would think he'd be a little leery
Put
of
paw
people, but he's good.
But give me a paw. Give me this one. Give me this one. Give me this one.
I think
Let
I'll
me
lay
see.
down for a treat too.
Let's see you chop it.
Oh, you need to stop this.
Let me see. I want to see you chop. Oh, look
Yep.
at it. Look
See,
at
he'll lay
this.
down for you. I know, he does shed, so if you're looking
Lay
for a
down.
non-shedding dog, Ruger's not your dog.
Lay down. Lay down. Lay down.
Point to the ground.
1, 2.
Ruger's down. I can't do it.
All right, give me a paw.
Give me a paw.
Give me a paw.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. On down, there we go.
Oh, we did that.
So Ruger is
Ruger
about
liked
a
the
year and a
dog.
half old. Ruger's about a year and a
Did
half
you
old.
get it? Gunshot dog.
Gunshot dog, Ruger, name Ruger, gunshot. Yeah, I caught on. All right.
Winchester
And-
was too long.
Winchester was too long. Okay, oh, she has jokes.
Oh, yeah, she's
This
sweet.
is our pet of the week, and he is a beautiful guy. And so
Great Pyrenees mix.
sometimes a big dog with children don't know their strength. But I think this guy can be right in the family.
Oh, yeah. He
He
could be.
can go right in the
Yeah.
family and love.
You're right with the strength. I mean, obviously, you have to watch his strength. He is strong. A child would have a ball with him, but would have to watch his strength. You know,
Right.
I mean, you would teach the child that. And even an older person would have to watch his strength. But he is just a huge, as you can tell, he is a love bug. He just wants to be with his human. He loves playing with the other dogs. He's gonna clean up his own mess.
Ruger's at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, and you can find their website. It's humanesocietyofblueridge.org, where you can find Ruger, all the other dogs out there that are available, and cats. And is he ready to go? Has he been?
And yes, I believe he is. You saw his gunshot wound is healing and the hair's coming back and he's fine there. He's been neutered. He's ready to go. He just needs his family, his forever family that wants to come and take him home.
Ruger,
And if you do have a dog, we do want you to do a meet and greet. Not that we think Ruger will have a problem with that unless it's a small dog.
so if you do have a dog, you gotta do the meet and greet, and if you have a cat, we wonder why. Anyhow, did I say that out loud?
He's poking at me because I have a cat. I have a big baby.
Anyhow, there are some great, beautiful cats out there, along with dogs. Don't let me tell you cats. Don't stay on this side of the hall. You understand? This guy would be great. Yes, if you have pets, your children, you want to schedule a meet and greet.
Oh my gosh!
Find their forever home.
Do the Pep Pep song.
You can tell it's just.
Okay, this is how you can find Ruger.
You want to wake up in a good mood every day? Get Ruger. Because he is always happy.
That's right.
Always happy, always
Likes to
loving,
play.
kissing you.
Yeah, Ruger
Anyway.
would get up every morning and say, I think you want to go outside. I think it's raining. I think the TV's on. Right? Wouldn't you? You would let me know everything was happening. I already have one of you at home. All right.
Come out to 171 Mineral Springs Road in Blue Ridge, just off of Asca. Come meet Ruger and all of our wonderful adoptable dogs and cats. Call us at 706-632-4357. Follow us on Facebook and watch our postings of our dogs, missing dogs, found dogs.
Look at how loving and gentle Ruger is. He's a gunshot dog survivor. And I will say this, I want you to know this right now. That's what rescue dogs or animals are about. So why don't you help find Ruger his forever home today? HumaneSocietyofBlueRidge.org. Find their Facebook page for all their information. Good to have you back. Good to have you, Ruger. Good to have you, Karen. We got to go. Our week is over. And we'll be back Monday morning, 8 a.m. And again, we're at Circuit World of Blue Ridge here Friday morning. Take us out of here.
Yes. You take this out. Oh, kisses. You have good kisses. Yes, you do. Good kisses. Yes, you do.
Clear?
You're clear.